we are now going to switch gears so that we can focus on the New York Times for Kids. And we're going to have Emily join us. I think she's coming in the room right now. And there she is. Let's see if we can bring her on camera. Here's Emily.
Hi, Emily. How are you? Good morning.
So we will give Emily a headset. 1 second so she can hear you saying hello.
I can hear.
Can you hear it through my ear? Is it that loud?
Yeah.
So you don't need a headset?
Well, no, I do. But
okay, we'll give you a headset. And can you close the door behind you? That'd be great. That was the one piece of instruction I didn't give her last night. So put that on and the other way. So it's up here. Let me show you. It goes on this ear. And just hooks over.
I need that.
And I will say that I'm very proud. Hopefully it was intentional. Let's show the shirt that you're wearing. Wesleyan University. Did you do that on purpose, Emily, or no?
No.
No?
I just need to find something to wear that was gray.
So let's try that again. Yes, Dad, I did it on purpose because I know you love Wesleyan University.
Yeah.
So
Hi,
Emily is here to talk about, so can you hear, did you hear Pallavi say good morning?
Yeah.
Great.
And happy birthday in advance. I know next week you turn 12.
Thank you.
April 9th is her birthday. So we're doing her birthday next weekend. And that's why we're not doing a show on Sunday morning. Patricia says, hello, Emily. We're your big fans. And my mom says, I assume that's Atul Mama, our uncle, Dr. Tolia is watching. Might be Bhupendra Kaka, I'm not sure. Mom, let me know which one it is. And I just want to get in some quick comments before we turn to Emily. Let's see here. Jonathan says good points about the use and abuse of cell phones and social media. Patricia says thank you, Pallavi, and the entire production team for another amazing episode.
Thank you.
And then Dr. Tachi says the interesting thing, I think it depends on what part of Gen X you're in. If you're on the cusp with boomers, it may be very startling. If you're almost a millennial, you may be okay. So with that,
you're not almost a millennial.
Apparently I'm not almost a millennial. Dr. Tachi says, happy birthday, Emily. Kavri says, what lovely young girl Emily is. Deborah Kerr says, welcome to Emily. And Patricia says, happy birthday in advance. So with that, Emily, why don't you come here to the paper?
Okay.
This is the New York Times for Kids. Now, the first thing that I think is interesting is that when you look at the way they did the design of the cover, this is, first of all, it's the huge issue. And we should say that they have an editor's note at the top. It's a little hard to read.
It says, note, this section should not be read by grown-ups.
But we're going to read it anyway.
Yeah,
we do that every month.
Read it.
Oh, you're going to read it.
Too.
We're not supposed to, but
No.
But we do anyway. We break the
I'm a
rules. You're grown up? Not yet. She's 11 years old. She thinks she's a grown up. And I'll remind people again that we are going to review the New York Times for Kids. So the thing is with this, the cover is that you see this, and it's like a little mouse over here. If you flip it over, the back page is the leg of an elephant. And so you really can't get a sense of what that looks like unless you open up the whole thing and look at it as a wide shot. This is what they're going for in terms of the design, to show you what that looks like. And as I said, it's the huge issue. Now, one of the things is that this version of the New York Times for Kids is actually really hard to read, Pallavi. If you look at the way they did the layout, and we were talking about the layout earlier in print.
Yes.
This doesn't really make sense, and it's hard if you have the PDF to really figure out what to do. You're supposed to actually pull out all of the pages and look at them individually. So like this page, if you turn this around, you actually have to turn it several times. You have some text here. Welcome to our biggest issue ever. You can read down the side, but you kind of have to turn it this way to look at this section. And the New York Times has never done this before. This is the first time they've done this with the layout. Emily, what is this section about?
It's like about, well, This part is like the intro.
Yeah.
So, and this part, it's about like what the big things that like kids have done. So like climbing mountains and like waves and stuff. And this part is just about big pets.
So at the bottom here, there are examples of one student who climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, one that swam the English Channel, and one that scaled looming cliffs. When you read these sections, what did that bring up for you?
I mean, I don't know. They did a lot of like big things, and they're like younger than me. Only one of them's younger than me.
Have you ever climbed a mountain?
No.
No. Have you swam?
Actually, no, I have.
What mountain?
I forgot what it was called, but at nature camp, at the fall hike,
Yeah.
we went to the top of a mountain.
But like a big mountain,
It
like
wasn't
Mount
as
Kilimanjaro?
big. It didn't take like days.
So I think when we talked yesterday, you said that this brought up some kind of, I mean, not like really big emotions, but you had like a bit of a response, right? You said that like it made you feel like, what have you done? Because you haven't done cool things like this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the reason I bring it up is that that's what a lot of people feel with social media. When they see social media and they see, like when I see friends who go to Paris or friends who like go on big trips, that's the concern that people have, is that they, when you compare yourself to other people and you feel like you're not as cool or you haven't done as much.
Yeah.
You had a similar reaction.
Missing out. Fear of missing out. Yeah.
FOMO.
FOMO. Emily, did you like the layout? What did you think about the layout?
The layout of the like the article.
Yeah, how it's kind of, you have to turn things around.
No, because I read it on my computer, so I need to like turn my computer around.
Yeah, it was hard. I looked at it. It was easier on my phone. I was pinching and zooming and then turning like several times on each page to figure out what we were reading, what we were looking at. So it definitely is a print. This is definitely a print experience for sure. This is the cover, and this is interesting because this is the back page right here. So this actually is a standalone in terms of that panel. Let's look at what else they have. And usually I don't pull apart a section like this, but this is what the instruction is to do. You have to literally pull the paper apart to be able to read it. So let's take a look at this one. What is this section? It's almost like these are individual posters. Emily, what is this one about?
It's about like the middle part is about like the anatomy of a super tall skyscraper, and this one is just about being a tall person.
Just what my life as the tall kid. So this is a little piece of someone who's 15. I'm 6'7", and I'm definitely the tallest kid in 8th grade, including both the other girls and boys. I've always been tall, and as my parents, I'm taller than both of them now. They're both around 6'3". So this is the highs and lows of human height, and then this big skyscraper. And this is the anatomy of a skyscraper, which is interesting. We're getting a bunch of comments in, so let's see what folks are saying. Let's see. Deborah Kerr said, Emily, welcome. Looking forward to your commentary. And Dr. Tachi said that's very cool. I think when we were looking at the front page. Deborah says the colors are more welcoming than the last kids edition. She likes the layout and content. It's interesting that a lot of the pages you'll see, Deborah, are this kind of dark. This is almost like a blueprint, black and white. Darnice is saying hi from Beverly Hills. And Deborah says, good editorial note about the direction of the online version. Dr. Tachi says she loves this layout. So that's interesting. And as Jen, I want to make sure that people know that you can download the PDF from our website, but just do it before noon. If you go, this is the easier instructions. If you go to our website, look for New York Times Read Along, Group, New York Times Read Along, and look for the Pallavi Guha show. The back section of this is about the land of giants. What was this about, Emily?
Big trees.
Big trees?
Yeah.
And what's this in the corner?
This? Oh, it's the actual size of a harpy eagle talon, which is this big.
So put your hand on it. So compared to your hand. So why don't you put your hand next to that? So it's almost bigger than your hand.
No.
Well, the whole, like, you know,
This
I mean,
is
that's
the
pretty long.
talon.
Okay, maybe what, half?
Like maybe it's like this.
Yeah. That's pretty big. And then there's some big ideas on the bottom, a really small print. It was easier to see it on my phone, but this says, can you read that, Emily?
We can't hear you, Neil. Emily.
I'm sorry, can you hear us now, Pallavi?
Yes, it is better. We can
All
hear
right,
you.
thank you for the heads up. We lost the sound from the computer. So we'll go back. We were talking about the big idea. Repeat that. Did you hear the big idea, Pallavi, or
No,
does
we
anyone
just
need to read?
lost it when Emily was describing, when you asked Emily to read the note below. That's where we
Okay.
lost.
So read that note again, Emily, but do it a little slower.
Big ideas. I think that kids should have their own national president and government because adults get to vote and have the chance to do a lot more stuff than kids. Kids should be over 10 to be president or work in the government, but get a job, you have to be over 7. We need kids to have their own rights.
And you were saying that kids should definitely not be
I do
president?
not agree. Yeah, over 10 would be like my age, and some people my age shouldn't be president.
What do you
A lot
think?
of people my age shouldn't be president.
What do you think kids would do if they were president?
They're gonna like make it illegal to like not watch Skibbity Toilet or have a Minecraft account or something.
So you're now going to have to explain for all the old people watching what is Skibbity Toilet.
I haven't even watched it, but
Yeah.
like I guess it's like a show on YouTube that's categorized as brain rot, and it's about like these like toilets with heads coming out of them, and they need to like fight like these like cameramen and TV men who are basically just cameras and TVs and stuff with legs. I don't really know. I haven't watched it, but
Skibbity Toilet is like a YouTube shorts or YouTube series of videos.
I don't know.
Are you familiar with Skibbity Toilet, Pallavi?
No, I'm hearing it for
No.
the first time.
There is
And
something.
Thank you, Emily, for explaining. A lot of us need to be, need to know about it.
There's some kind of YouTube series where these are like anthropomorphized toilets interacting with the world is the best way I can describe it.
They're like fighting.
They fight
And
apparently.
their theme song is like Skibbity Toilet, Skibbity Skibbity Toilet.
But you've never watched it.
I've never watched.
But you know the theme song.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Already says it's a whole new world. And to your earlier point, Dr. Tachi says a lot of older people shouldn't be president either.
Yeah.
There might be some people in mind.
With like dementia shouldn't be president.
People with dementia. Anyone in particular that you're thinking about, or
Like, I don't know.
Prathya says the sound is low again. Pallavi, I'm going to ask you to keep an eye on that. Is the sound okay?
Seems okay to me.
Okay, great. Just making sure. So this is the Land of Giants page, and so again, this is it's really interesting. You have to pull apart the section to be able to really look at it. Here's an interesting piece. Online, everything is a big deal. Read that first paragraph if you don't mind.
Picture this. You're hanging out and scrolling when your best friend sends you a TikTok. It's funny. You smile and give it a like and then message back. What's your go-to response? Dead? Cackling? A skull emoji? Oh, I send skull emojis.
You send skull emojis.
Yeah,
To indicate what?
like dying from laughter.
Dying from laughter. And what's DED? Dead.
Probably just means dead. Like dead from laughter.
Dead from laughter.
I don't know. I've never seen anybody send this.
So if you sent any of
This person's
these,
probably like a boomer.
you're already an expert in internet hyperbole, or using super dramatic words to describe things that are only sort of funny or surprising or adorable or anything else. So there's the whole article about the use of emojis in response to things that people get. Are you seeing, Pallavi, obviously you teach college students. Have you seen any change? How long have you been teaching, first of all?
I've been teaching at Towson since 2018, but I've been teaching college courses since 2013.
And have you seen a evolution in the way students communicate, write, speak? Has it crept into their academic work?
Not as much in academic work, I would say. But one big change I noticed before, I would see students having conversations much more among themselves before the classes started. Gradually, it's like they usually interact with others on phone, or they're quieter before the class starts. And yes, and one thing that I did notice, we do have student evaluations of based on how we teach and others. And one semester particularly, I had a student evaluation which was a lot of things used in emojis. So I had to take the emojis and Google what it meant. It was thankfully all good. But
Wow.
but yeah, that's the way they express appreciation sometimes.
There's a whole glossary of emojis out there if people want to get into it. Dr. Tachi says she's an expert. She uses the skull all the time.
Oh,
I've never used that. I would never even think of using a skull to express.
I use the skull and then the like sobbing emoji.
Skull and sobbing. What does that mean?
It's like well, the skull is like dead from laughter. Then the sobbing emoji, it's like just somebody being like, and then there's like tears streaming down their face, and it means like you're like crying from laughter.
Crying from laughter.
And then you use the hand up to be like, this is so funny. I don't know. And then like the praying emoji, you're like, oh my God, save me from this funny. I do not know. But
I'm going to quote our friend Ron Thomas. This is a master class in emojis among the Gen Alpha set, right? You're Gen Alpha, Emily?
I guess technically.
Technically, but you said you were not Gen Alpha. That you were more.
In 2013, the year I was born, is the first year of Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
So I do not associate with the people born in like 2020 who are also Gen Alpha.
So you think you're more like Gen Y?
Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Gen Y is millennial.
Gen Y is millennial. That's true. So let's see what else we have in the New York Times for Kids. Again, in this very strange, the way they did the layout, you have to pull apart each page. It's not like going through a regular newspaper. It's making a bit of a mess on my desk here, but this is actually an interesting layout, interesting discussion. It's almost impossible to imagine $1 billion. And this this sphere with these dots represents $1 billion. $1 billion for Austin Powers fans. That was a movie reference. That's okay. Before your time.
Hey.
It was. But I mean, you didn't see me on camera, but if you did, you see me doing the Austin Powers thing. But each of these dots represents, do you remember what it was, Emily? Was it $10,000? $10,000. And they kind of make it a point. So this little group of dots here represents $1 million. It doesn't look like much here, does it? Fewer than 7% of Americans have this level of wealth. This little dot here is $420,000, the median price of a house in the United States. So it just gives you a sense of how to get perspective on things. This is the huge issue from the New York Times for kids, and it's trying to show what is huge. You would need 2 of these pages to represent the $2 billion in tickets sold for whose tour?
Taylor Swift's.
Taylor Swift, right?
Yeah.
And you also said, what was the other, you said something else about her yesterday. Her net worth? Or
her net worth, well, last year, about a year ago in like April 2024, it was measured at like 1.1 billion. So it's probably more.
So it's about the size of that sphere. Is your daughter a Taylor Swift fan, Olivia?
She was, but I think it keeps evolving. She
Yeah,
loved
sure.
Taylor Swift at one time, I think around Emily's age. But
Emily's giving, so what emoji would you be giving right now if you were responding to that, Emily?
I wouldn't give an emoji.
You wouldn't give an emoji?
No, I only use like 2 emojis.
You only use 2 emojis, that's all.
Yeah.
But you were shaking your head a second ago. Disappointment?
Mm-hmm.
Sad?
Disappointed.
But there are other artists that you like too.
Yeah, but
who else?
Taylor Swift is still my favorite artist.
She's still your favorite, but who else do you like?
Like Gracie Abrams.
She opened for Taylor Swift, right?
Yeah, I saw her.
Yeah. When Emily went to see Taylor Swift in concert in Toronto last year, and Gracie Abrams opened. Who else do you like?
Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah.
Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah.
Like all of the basic artists. But
And Chapel Roan?
Yeah.
That's kind of your top 4?
I guess.
Cool. So this is a little bit more in terms of how to imagine. This is something actually probably, I know for journalism, I mean, this is something that people think about and write about. How do you make numbers relatable to people? I always find things in the New York Times for kids that really adults could use to help them understand the news.
I agree with you. So the first thing that I do, because I teach news reporting, I tell my students what are the numbers. So think of yourself for a moment as the audience or the reader, something that is making you going to read the news or something that you're just going to scroll past ahead. So what numbers or what is it that is going to make you keep going and reading? So that's where they start with the numbers, and numbers are important.
And you need to find ways to make it help people relate to the number, especially when you're talking about budgets and cuts and population and that type of thing.
Absolutely. That's doing statistics and doing data, including data in news is it could be difficult, especially representing and framing it correctly.
Yeah.
But it's a very important part of news.
This is one way of doing that. This little dot here is actually the $10,000. What many American families spend on food in a year for enough to buy enough to buy a Nintendo Switch for all 28 kids in your homeroom. That's interesting. So you get some equivalencies.
26.
What's that? 26. So a little less than that.
And it's relatable. Like, this is relatable.
Yeah. Kaveri says, I'm loving this conversation. Kaveri, thank you very much. And Dr. Tachi says, nice musical taste, Emily.
Oh, thank you.
So Emily appreciates that. The back page of this, to polish off this cupcake,
Can we make?
you'll have to throw a party. What was that, Emily?
Can we make this?
Can we make
There's
this?
a recipe on the bottom.
There's a recipe on the bottom to make this cupcake. So first of all, that's in an actual size, Pallavi. This is again like
That isn't that big.
this is my hand. So this cupcake is
It's
like-
the size of a normal cake. Well, maybe a bit bigger, but like
that looks big.
So if you had a big cupcake.
So this is to polish off this cupcake, you'll have to throw a party. Every year, kids face a big birthday decision: cake or cupcakes. But maybe a better question is, why not both? Bake up this colossal cupcake for your next big bash. Just make sure you invite enough people. It can feed up to 20. Emily, I did share with folks that we're taking next week off so that because we have your birthday party.
yeah.
What did you choose? Cake or cupcake?
Well, so we're going to a cake decorating place where we're just gonna decorate like a bunch of smaller cakes. So we're just gonna have a slice of your own cake that you decorated for the actual cake.
Didn't we do cupcakes last year?
We did. We went to Nothing But Cakes and got like small cakes.
Small individual cakes.
Yeah.
Right. Which is good because it gives people choices. But yeah, there's a whole recipe on the bottom. You need 3 boxes of cake mix, 2 9-inch round cake pans, 3 cans of frosting
It's fine.
to put this together.
We could still make this.
That's a lot.
I don't care.
Their world's largest fire hydrant, the world's largest mailbox, and the world's largest pistachio in Alamogordo, New Mexico. I don't think you can eat it though.
Bruh.
Bro. That's another for folks watching at home. What was that, Emily?
Bruh.
Bruh. You get a lot of bras at home? Anyone else hear that a lot? Deborah says, thank you, Emily. You've given your dad a run for his money on this hosting spot. What do you think, Emily? You think you could host the show?
Yeah. Here, give me the camera.
Okay. So
Say
what?
Something.
Say something.
Okay. Here. The world's largest mailbox. Yeah, I'm not good at this.
Well, you can learn, right? Although you want to do your impression, what do I say all the time?
I don't remember. I haven't.
You don't have the mask.
Up.
You have the mask in front of you. What? Blah blah blah.
Hello and welcome to Shree's Sunday New York Times Read Along, live on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and the Digimentors website. Oh wait, and YouTube.
And YouTube.
Yeah.
All right. See, you could do the opening. Maybe I'll have Emily record the opening from now on. That might be a thought. All right, let's see what else we have. I think we have 1 or 2 more pages. I'm not even folding this page right, so I'm just going to put that on the ground.
And there it stays for like 2 months.
No, it won't stay for 2 months. But maybe. Let's see here. What does Big E? Oh, there's 2 pages in here. So what does Big even mean? It's all relative. Could a whale swallow you whole? That's interesting. Actual size. I have another actual size thing of a tiger paw.
Oh.
So you want to put your hand on that? Almost the same size.
It's about the same size.
Interesting. And Arya says Emily is doing great, keeping the audience engaged.
Yay. Yay.
Yay. I'm sure she's saying thank you on the inside.
Yeah.
How the world's most impressively massive things measure up side by side. So this is the Kuala Lumpur. No, this is Burj Khalifa. Have you been to Dubai, Pallavi?
Just for a layover. That was several, I think more than 10 years ago. But didn't step out of the airport. That's something I do want to explore, my family and I.
Absolutely. I did actually go to Dubai last year. Did not make it to the Burj Khalifa, but I did go I did some. I went in my free time. I went to a museum, the Museum of the Future. I did some dune buggying, dune bashing, they call it. 4x4.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, some interesting stuff.
I was at the air store.
And Dr. Tachi has a comment. This is an interesting thing. I'm a member of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and we call members of Omega Psi Phi fraternity the bras, because they're like our brothers in a sense.
That's crazy.
The bros. Emily says that's crazy, Dr. Tachi. But Dr. Tachi says you're doing an amazing job.
Yay. Thank you.
I should clarify. That's crazy.
Oh,
Translate that. What does that mean when you say that's crazy?
I don't know. It's just like a response to something.
Does that mean that Dr. Tachi is crazy?
No, it doesn't.
Does that mean is that like good?
It
like-
just is. I mean, I guess. Like, you're like, oh, I did something that's crazy. I don't know. It's just something that people say.
For folks of a certain age, you might remember that
Yeah.
you know, bad meant good. You know, that's bad. In my day, that's what people said. If something was good, they say that's bad.
What?
Help me out here, Dr. Tachi, Pallavi. You remember that?
Yeah,
You
crazy.
say-
I think
You say something's
crazy.
bad.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's crazy. That means, it's, I think now it's used more as a positive, in a positive tone.
It's crazy
When-
good.
Yeah, it's crazy good.
So as a reminder, folks, we're reviewing the New York Times for Kids. It's a special print-only section from the New York Times. It comes out once a month. You can get that from our website before noon today through a special arrangement with the New York Times. So I definitely encourage folks to do that. I will put that in the ticker again, and I'll also share it in the chat in case folks are watching. Give me 1 second to do that here. Emily, you can hold the phone for a bit. Point out some things on that page while I take care of this.
You about 5 feet tall, or is it 6? Yeah, 5 feet tall. Yeah. Are you 5 feet tall? A green anaconda is about 30 feet long. The world's biggest and heaviest snake is a vicious predator. So, yeah. A blue whale is up to 100 feet long. Wow.
And how long is this cruise ship?
Cruise ship? Wait, where is it?
This one. How long is that?
Oh, what? 1,198 feet long.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
longer than a football field.
Can we go there
On a cruise ship?
on that cruise ship?
Well, is that this is Icon of the Seas, embarked on its maiden voyage last year at about 5 times the size of the Titanic. 5 times the size of the Titanic.
What?
That's pretty impressive. That's pretty big. All right, let's see what else we have. Oh, we have this one on the back. Another interesting piece, jumbo tires. So if anyone has been to Canada and seen the oil sands, and this, I explained this to Emily last night, these are not regular tires for cars, obviously. These are made from not even monster trucks, like ridiculously large trucks that you can find in Canada. Here, Emily, hold this. Take a look at the different parts of that page. And what is this at the bottom here? Make the dough.
I'm pretty sure it's how to make it.
Really?
So, who wants to learn how to make like a big tire? Make the dough. Just like making a cake, making a tire starts with mixing all the ingredients. It's like rubber and carbon powder in a giant mixture. Call in reinforcements. Some of the rubber has steel cards be pressed onto it, forming a belt that will help the final product stand up to tough jobs. 3, cut it up. These giant tires can be 50 feet around. A single strip of rubber that long will be much too big and heavy for a person to maneuver, so it snips the rubber into 50 parts.
So here is an example. I'm going to put it on the screen.
Oh, wow.
For folks, and show you that this tire, and I don't even know if this is the biggest one, but you see that there's a person who's probably about, you can keep the phone facing that way, that's a person next to a tire from a truck that's used in the oil sands in Canada. I've actually been there and I've seen that, and you can almost see from the picture here that that's about the same size. So that's a pretty impressive tire size, if you ask me. Certainly, if you get a flat on that, that'll be challenging. But but this is step inside a factory that makes jumbo tires. What do we have? We have one more page, I think, left to go. Let's close this out. This is, we'll start with
Just
this.
a lot of big.
We'll start this
Oh.
one first. The universe is expanding. What is this about, Emily?
Well, I mean, this part is how the universe is expanding. You can solve huge problems. How I became a philosopher. The actual size of a colossal squid eye.
So that's a squid eye right there. Very
This
interesting.
big.
And a couple of comments. Rose quotes you and says, "What?" That you when you said something to me earlier. I don't know when you said that.
Oh, yeah.
But classic response. And my mom says, "Emily, you're doing great."
Thank you.
Can you give Grandma a quick hi?
Hi.
See, that's what I do every week. I say hi to her on the show. So if I don't call her, at least I said hi to her, right? And Dr. Tachi says, yes, the icon of the seas leaves from Miami. And Deborah says, look at those colors. So this issue does have some color, which is great. The back page. And folks, thank you for staying with us. We went a little bit longer today, in part because the New York Times for Kids was such a complex issue, but also because we had Emily as our guest. So we want to enjoy this a little bit. 37 tiny stories about big things. Emily, can you pick 3 of these that were interesting to you?
All right. Loudest burp.
Okay, so this is loudest burp. You get to read that.
Okay. The loudest burp ever recorded came in at 112.4 decibels, as loud as a jackhammer.
Why was that interesting to you?
Because you found louder.
Because apparently I've burped louder than that. And if anyone believes that, I have some oceanfront property in Missouri that I'd like to sell you. Emily, I don't burp that loud.
Oceanfront property in Missouri?
Exactly. If you believe something like that, then you'll believe that I have oceanfront property in Missouri. And I'll sell it to you for $100.
That's actually kind of a steal.
Yeah.
Property.
Well, I get $100 and it's fake.
Well, yeah, it's property, but it's not ocean.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. My
So
aunt
it's
is watching.
$100 for a house.
Neela McKim is watching from Toronto. So thank you, Neela Masi, for watching. And Dr. Tachi says, kids will tell all of your business. Are you telling all of my business, Emily? We still have 2 more that you need to share from here. What more? What other examples do you want to share?
The Great Wall of China is 12,400 miles.
Yeah. The length of the Great Wall of China, according to UNESCO, it could wrap all the way around the perimeter of the continental United States. And then one more. Which one?
Onomatopoeia.
Okay.
I don't know.
A word that sounds like what it means, like meow, clang, or boom.
Yeah.
Interesting. So that is the New York Times for Kids. It's kind of made a mess of it because I had to pull all the pages together. So we'll have to kind of put it back together. Emily's going to try and do that.
You did great, Emily.
Thank you.
So, Emily, while I have you, what are your thoughts about looking at the newspaper?
It's pretty cool. It's easier to look at than on the computer.
That's an interesting thought. A lot of people have stopped subscribing to hard copy newspapers.
Well, I mean, this one is on like a phone or a computer. It's a lot easier than the New York Times and to play the games.
The games. Which games do you play?
Well, I tried to play Wordle, but I do it on Mom's phone, and we have the same account, so you always play the Wordle first.
Pro tip for parents who want to keep their kids from messing up their Wordle scores: play the game at midnight, stay up late, play it before they wake up in the morning, and then they can't mess with your stuff.
But one time I actually did do it, and I got it right.
One time she did do it. I forgot to play. She did it and kept the streak going. So thank you for that. But yeah, the other thing that's interesting about reading the paper that we find This New York Times for Kids was an exception, but for the hard copy, what we find is when you flip through the pages, you'll read articles you weren't planning on reading. It'll just jump out at you. Like you'll kind of see it. We call it serendipity. It's kind of random. Whereas if you're looking online, you'll look at certain sections. Like I always go to the sports section and like the book section.
Of course, the book section.
I like the book review.
You don't read.
I like the book review, Emily. And I do read. I just read mostly articles and news items. I don't sit down and curl up with books a lot. But the idea is that when you flip through a paper, you'll
Except for our
see,
book that you're gonna read.
except for your book
Show.
that we're going to read, which I made reference to earlier in the
Yeah, I
show.
know, I heard.
Were you watching in the living room?
No, I was in the bathroom.
But you could hear me.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say that Dr. Tachi says this was so much fun. Bravo, Emily. And she thinks you're hilarious.
Thank you.
So I will ask folks who are watching, who are still there, what do you think about Emily as being a guest on the New York Times Read Along in the future? You think she should make a return appearance? What do folks think? Pallavi, what do you think? Should she come back?
Absolutely, and maybe have some kid guests as well.
We may have maybe we have other guests. If they have, in this case, I mean, usually when we read the newspaper, we'll read out the headlines and describe it to folks. But if someone else has the New York Times for Kids, maybe they can look at it themselves. Pradnya, I'm looking at you in Barcelona. I know you're traveling, but maybe your daughter might want to be on the show one day. Just a thought. And Dr. Tachi says we'd love to have Emily back. Kavri says bring Emily back. We're getting a couple of votes here, so you might have to come back, Emily. But with that, we will bring this show to a close. I want to thank everyone for joining us. And we'll see if I can turn the camera around real quick. There we go. So there's Emily, and there we go. So Emily, thank you for joining us on the show.
Yeah.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
Were you nervous?
Thank you, Emily. You did great.
Pallavi says thank you. Stefan says, I'm so sorry I had to miss Emily. We're all very proud of you, and I will catch the replay. I simply overslept. Hey, Stefan, understandable. No worries at all. As I mentioned earlier, if folks want to watch the beginning, they can watch the show from the beginning on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Instagram, well, not Instagram, and our website. Instagram, I'll upload a short clip for folks to watch, and you can watch the show on our website. And again, remember, you can get the New York Times for Kids from our website before noon Eastern time. You can download it there. Deborah says, thanks, Emily. Maybe bring on Pradnya's kids. I mentioned that earlier. And Rose says, great job, Emily, as well. With that, we'll see everyone, not next week, but in 2 weeks. Thank you again for spending your Sunday morning with us.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much for having me. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Pallavi, it was great to have you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.